Do mass protests mean that the coronavirus scare is over? That's the question I pose to all of you. And alternatively, does that mean, if not, will infections and deaths spike? Love to know what all of you think. I'd encourage you to go ahead and comment here below, and I can respond to. I'll read your comments here, get your reactions to all this stuff we're talking about. We got one comment here from Jerry Bates, who says, "So since my meme was reported," sorry, Jerry, I don't know what happened there. I will text it. The shutdown was a political hoax to try to alter the elections. The prosecutions will expose them, and they are fighting with everything and any means not to become social pariah. And the criminals that were so important to release are behind the mindless violence and destruction. That's absolute craziness going on in the streets. And I mean, you guys were all here a couple of months ago when all this stuff was when the lockdowns were happening. I mean, you were told if you left the house, you were a public menace. You were going to kill your grandmother. You were reckless, and now all those concerns seem to have been thrown by the wayside. So which one is it, right? I mean, is this thing, or does it mean? There's many layers to this, but essentially, were the lockdowns too much? Was it basically too harsh and unnecessary, or? On the other hand, has this thing passed? And I think, as we move through the Memorial Day weekend, and as things have progressed, I know in my area, people are out and about a lot more than normal. The traffic is unfortunately picking up. People are moving. People are doing stuff. People are trying to get back to normal. And then, this stuff happened, and the world kind of blew up. And these protesters there is no lockdown anymore, right? How could there be? There's thousands of people in the streets. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, does this mean the coronavirus stuff is all over with? Is this just basically our fast track into opening up the economy? I mean, if we're gonna have people gathering large, I mean, it would have been essentially unthinkable just a few weeks ago, and now many people out there in the streets and protesting. So what is going on? But I do want to take you back to the way this thing was framed. How about a story from The Atlantic on April 29th? Georgia's experiment in human sacrifice. The state is about to find out how many people need to lose their lives to shore up the economy. I mean, are you kidding me? And then seeing a very different tune now. And there's a story out of the NPR that says, dozens of public health and disease experts have signed an open letter in support of the nationwide anti-racism protest. And there's a quote here in the article from NPR. It says, they're quoting one public health official saying, I'm concerned about the exposure. People might need to isolate when they go home or to be tested because it's hard to blunt this curve. It says, but the risks during a global pandemic shouldn't keep people from protesting racism, according to dozens of public health and disease experts who signed an open letter. Says, quote, white supremacy is a lethal public health issue that predates and contributes to COVID-19. Now, whatever you think of that statement, the virus doesn't care, right? The virus doesn't care why you're out there protesting. The virus doesn't care why you're out there congregating in large groups. It could be because you want to open up your business, or God forbid, a family member has passed and they won't let you attend the funeral, or if someone is sick in the hospital and you can't go in, or if you're protesting, the stuff that happened up there in Minneapolis with George Floyd. The virus doesn't care. It's going to infect you all the same. So then what gives? Well, why was it not allowed a week ago, but it's allowed now? I mean, people get angry because they say, well, this whole thing, it was political. It's political now. It was political from the beginning. And then, of course, when you get stories like that one from The Atlantic again, let me repeat this headline: Georgia's experiment in human sacrifice. Well, it turns out that human sacrifice never came to fruition because there was some more infections and deaths, but nothing crazy. I mean, what do you guys think here? Was this political from the start, or is it just being politicized now? Do you think that infections will spike after these protests? Will we see in a week or two? We see cases rise, deaths rise. Will we see, or is it the fact that this thing is over with? And maybe a little bit of a window. What might happen is there's a story out of, I don't know if you guys saw this over Memorial Day weekend. Maybe saw this video of a large group, a very, very large group, hundreds of people apparently, they look to be about in their 20s, hanging out in a swimming pool around the Lake of the Ozarks on Memorial Day. And this one got passed around social media about people not social distancing, people risking lives, this sort of thing. Well, it turns out, as a headline here from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, no new COVID-19 cases from Lake of the Ozarks. Crowds, Missouri health director said. I did say some people were sick, but they didn't see any massive spike. Now, it may be too early because it was basically only about a week and a half. So maybe those things need to work through the system. But so far, it didn't lead to a big spike. So maybe this thing is over, guys. I mean, maybe we'll see this protest, and you might see a little bit of rise in cases and deaths as a result of these protests and everybody mixing together. But maybe it won't be such a big deal. And then, wow, I mean, what a different world we would be. And here we are, June 4th. What are we going to be like in 3-4 weeks? I mean, it could be completely open. I mean, the world is changing very, very fast. Well, anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this, guys. Is COVID over, or will these protests lead to more infections and deaths? Love to know what you think. And, of course, I want to remind you, head on over to informedamerican.com to get real smart news in your inbox every day. Thanks so much for watching.